What's good, y'all? What's good, y'all? Come on in. Come on in. Just got back from the Remedy Conference and met a lot of awesome new people. Can you send me? Okay, I'm gonna invite you. Send me one. Peace, love. Peace, love.
Oh, we live.
We live.
Yeah. Peace and love, Queen. How you doing?
Love. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay. Perfect.
Um, trying to do this for 7 days, so we're gonna get it by any means necessary. Ain't nothing about to stop us.
Oh, yeah.
About to build our own build. I had the pleasure of meeting for the first time, but I've been following you for a few years now. And before we go any further, if you could just tell the people who you are and how you got started into
Ooh.
on your
Okay.
craft, because it's like it's a trickle down
Oh, yeah.
effect. I try to tell people it's not you're gonna do more than one thing, but you can tell a little bit about yourself.
Most definitely. Well, I'm Rafee Adeeb X Smith. I'm the creator of Autochtons of America. This is the Indigenous group to reconnect those native falsely reclassified as Black, African American, and Latino back to land, history, and culture. And I do that through holistic health practices. Okay. And so that is my mission. But however, I am a gardener. That's my calling. To reconnect the people back to the land also. So through gardening, through holistic health practices. And for those of y'all who don't know my background, I actually got started through it's the journey is just amazing. Like this is how I started. I love telling the story. So my sister had she reached out to a seed company and they sent her a box of vegetable and herb seeds. She received those seeds, and I love to eat, so I'm like, okay, let me see if I can grow some food. So I threw some seeds in the ground, and I realized I had a green thumb because they just shot right up the next day. And so that would really begin me on my journey and learning about gardening. And then not only that, I learned that my grandfather was a farmer, his dad was a farmer, and his dad was a farmer. So it's like going down the line, it's in my blood to cultivate the land. And then also I learned about my indigenous ancestry, you know what I'm saying? Choctaw and Muskogee on my maternal and paternal lines. So that's kind of the background, short version.
Oh, that's dope. I always look at men. I tell people all the time, if a man ever gets something in their mind, they're gonna go full force with it because y'all have the ability to like just zone in and just learn everything. Like it's like your brain is like a sponge, and I admire that
Oh
about
yeah.
you guys. So I'm always interested to see like what caused you to get involved.
Right.
So you talked a little bit about the gardening, and I can relate to that because my grandfather, he was a gardener as well, and he
Mm-hmm.
reaped hogs and all
Mm-hmm.
that, and one of the things that you said at the conference that piqued my wife's interest a lot was in order for us to get the nutrients that our grandparents got from an orange, we would have to eat eight, like
Right, right,
eight of that
right.
same thing. So um before I ask you to talk more on, just drop some gems about what you think we should know that we can put into practice today to be healthier.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask you,
Mm-hmm.
uh, what do you study? Like how do you study
Oh,
to learn different herbs and what to do?
okay, that's a great question. And also, let me add a little bit more about my background so that people can know what certification and qualifications that I have. So it's not like I'm just making things up, you know what I'm saying, and just talking out the side of my mouth. So once I got into that gardening, I went to a internship for 2 years as a farm manager at a community college. They transformed their football field into an all-organic farm, and so I got, you know, the hands-on experience, you know, on that level, on that scale, to be able to manage and you know, work with the farm and, you know, with animals, and just being able to manage it like that, you know, on a professional level. And then not only that, I moved on. It's like the universe will place you in a place and put you in contact with the people that are in line with your vision, you know. And from there, I met another brother, and he reached out to me and said, "Hey, there's a beekeeping scholarship. Are you interested in beekeeping?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah." And so I did this scholarship, and I got bees in my backyard for like 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Had chickens in my backyard, so it's like a whole farm, a urban farm, you know. And this is in Dallas, Texas, because that's where I'm from. So, you know, what is it? The codes are a little bit lax there, so they allow you to have animals and you know, things of that nature. And so all of these qualifications, I moved on from there. I got a solar photovoltaic certification. So I'm a certified solar installer and electrician. And that also that class was mind blowing because I learned so much about electricity and, you know, the electric grid and sustainability, right? How to go off grid and how to maintain your land, you know, secluded from, like, you know, on the grid, so you can be self-sufficient. So yeah, just to bring it back to your question, it's all about sustainability. I believe that's what it all comes down to, how to be more self-sufficient, and also, like I said in the conference, how to shorten your food chain. I feel like that's the most important thing that people can do to get back to self-sufficiency. So going to your local farmers market, that's key. And then also, if you can't do that, you know, going to a co-op, like a gardeners co-op or a community supported agriculture group. And this is where you know, a lot of the community gardens are, and you can actually reach out to them, and they'll allow you to either pick their food, or you can own a plot of land there. So yeah, shortening your food chain is the most important place to start.
Okay, that's awesome. And I also saw a post that you delivered one of your children.
I didn't catch that.
I said, I saw a post that said
I didn't catch that.
you delivered one of your
Oh, you froze up. Oh my God. Okay, here we go. Oh, here we go. I didn't catch that last question. We froze for a second.
Gotcha. You delivered one of your children.
Oh, yeah. So that was a mind-blowing experience. That really impacted my life, you know, and just made me look at life differently. Yeah, so I was in Miami, Florida, and we actually we planned it that way. We planned to have a home birth, so it wasn't like random, and then we had to like kind of scramble. So I set the tone. I set the tone as far as we had the home pool, we had the lights, we had the atmosphere right, we had the incense, and, you know, really set the mood and the tone to have, you know, a peaceful home birth, to really be able to just introduce our child into the world in a peaceful atmosphere, like totally opposite from the hospital, you know what I'm saying, where they have extremely bright lights, you know, the baby come out, can't even open their eyes, you know, somebody's random hands, not even hands, they're gloves, touching them. So it's totally against the Western form of, you know, delivering your child. And yeah, that was just an amazing experience for me, because my hands were the first hands to touch my child, you know. to receive him as he came into the world. Yeah. And I was really inspired by my mother, because she delivered my youngest sister at home.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, she had a home birth. And I was just like, okay, I seen my mama do it, you know what I'm saying? Seen online, I read about ways to actually do it properly. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, I can do this. And so that's what we did.
That's what's up. So what message would you give to your younger male counterparts? I got one person that asks, how old are you? And what advice would you give that, or what would you want a lot of us ourselves? What would you give to a young man that's trying to get narrow, that wants to eat better, and just live a better life? Like, what advice would you give to them?
Great question. Well, I'm actually 26. I'll be 27 in October. And the advice I would definitely give to, the brothers and sisters that's younger than me or around my age is to reach out to people, reach out to people that's interested or already practicing what you're interested in, because there's so much people out here that are already doing what you want to do, and you may not have enough knowledge to do it, but just reach out, and try to get that mentorship, or if not a mentorship, just message people. Like, you'll be surprised at how many people are open to, receiving you and, just having a dialogue, So that's one of the biggest messages I would say.
Okay, and I know you talked about shortening the food chain. Can you go more in depth of what that means? You said shop at your local food market, but what do you mean by shorten the food chain?
Okay. So shortening your chain is shortening the food, because there's a cycle of food or a food chain. So food actually comes right from the farm, and then from the farm there's a plane backing up. So I'm gonna pause just real quick so it's not too loud. You probably take a look. Oh, wait for it to power down a little bit. Okay, here we go. So shortening your food chain. So there is a chain that when you take food from the farm, it doesn't just come to our house. It has to go through multiple hands. So there's multiple middlemen in between these middlemen. There's processing that happens, and that processing you're losing nutrients out of the food. So what I didn't mention at the conference was that if spinach is harvested, it loses 60% of its nutrients within 3 days. So that is pretty crucial when you're trying to eat these vegetables and these leafy greens, but they don't have the nutrient content as they would when you first harvest it. So that's another factor into how we're becoming more malnourished. So shortening your chain is you're losing nutrients the longer the food is away from the soil and away from the root. And so that's why I think that's the most important factor.
Okay. And I'm not going to keep you long because I know you're in the airport. And I appreciate you. Everybody, y'all make sure y'all go follow both of us and subscribe to my podcast, Eat, Drink, and Be Merry. Podcast is available on anywhere you can stream podcasts. But I wanted you to touch on the American Indian, and if you can pronounce that, your name.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Find it. Explain a little bit,
I'm sorry, I missed the last part of the last part.
Can you explain a little more on the origin of the name of the American Indian and how you got into genealogy, and how would you convince another brother to?
Oh, I missed the last part again. What I heard was, how would you asked me how did I get into genealogy? Explain, you know, the name Native American and also, or American Indian rather, how to pronounce my namesake, and then what was the last part?
And how would you convince another young man of the same culture as you that they are the original American?
Ooh, I like that. I like that. Okay. Well, I'll start off with first to pronounce the name. It's a 3-syllable word, so it's all, talk, and ton. So all talk ton, and that means indigenous or native to the land. Okay, so it literally means sprung from the soil. So that's what it really resonated with me when I discovered the true, you know, the etymology, the true meaning of the word, because we are people that are coming from the soul. We are connected to the soul, and that's also how we identify ourselves based on the land that we're from. So, our talk time. And then the way I got into genealogy was just learning about my own genealogy. You know, it all begins at home, like my mom always says. You know, charity begins at home. So, you know, I learned the genealogy of my ancestors. You know, all the way up until 1700s, and you know, she was saying how her great great grandmother said she was Indian, and then we did the genealogy behind that, and we was like, okay, so it's not just a family myth. This is a family fact. And so we were able to reconnect back to our heritage just through the paper trail that we had to trace. Um, and the other question was, how can I, you know, kind of convince another brother to um, just the understanding that he's not just, you know, a foreigner or just a slave. He's actually has roots in Indigenous American history and culture. I would just say, hey, think about it, you know? The fact that not everybody came over here as slaves. Man, it's so many ways to do this. Let me see how I want to say this. We could probably start out with, we could just start with the narrative, and I could say that the whole narrative is highly exaggerated. So there were only less than 5% of the Africans uh, even arrived in America. So out of all the, they say about 20 million Africans, only 5% came to America. And it might even be 10 million Africans. I can't recall the exact number, but only 5% came to that America. And that's according to slavevoyages.org. Okay, so that's the largest slave database in the United States records. We can verify this information. It's like, okay, so only 5% of the Africans actually came here. Who were the people that we're calling the slaves today, right? And where did they come from? So when we do the knowledge, we'll discover that, hey, actually, let me see what happened here. Okay. Actually, Indigenous Americans were falsely reclassified as Africans, and then they also assimilated into Native American culture because we were already here. So it doesn't make sense for, you know, the colonists to go over to a foreign land and take people here when there was already a native population here. And so this is like kind of the untold history about the Indian slavery that was going on and the reclassification that they. Let me bring it back. Okay, here we go.
Look like we might be frozen again. Hopefully he could get it together. He's in the airport right now, still traveling from the Remedy conference. Shouts out to Brotha Truth and the Remedy conference for putting us together to be able to connect with like-minded individuals. But you could go ahead. if you remember where you left off at.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, so just basically the whole so-called slave population was actually a majority of American Indians, right? But they were falsely reclassified, and we're not saying that hey, there weren't any Africans here. We're not doing that. We're just acknowledging that most of the slave population was actually American Indians. And you can easily verify this information because you can look at the Racial Classification Act of 1924, right? You can see where the first Register of Vital Statistics actually says, hey, all Indians have to be reclassified as colored or black because, this is eugenics. He was a known eugenicist, and he's like, hey, okay, if I see dark skin, automatically you have to fall into one category, black or white. So what happened to the dark-skinned American Indians? They became black on paper. So this was the legal genocide that happened time and time again. And this is also based on the one-drop rule. So you can actually verify this information. So 1 out of 16 of your ancestors were African. By default, they will label you as an African. So you could have 15 native ancestors, and boom, you're you're African based off of their law, right? So yeah, this is the information I will kind of just relay, and then I will also show them like the cultural connection. Like we said, we got gold teeth and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Gold teeth. Actually, that is a known practice of American Indians, especially those in South America. You know what I'm saying? Central America. The Mayan, the Aztec, they would place that gold and that diamonds in their teeth. You know what I'm saying? As status and things of that nature. So I'll definitely play around with the cultural connection. Uh oh.
That's what's up. I follow a guy named Don Calloway. You guys can look him up on YouTube, and he dives more into it as well. I'm from South Carolina. My grandmother knew that she was a full-blooded Cherokee Indian, but she was classified as black. They did a lot of treaties. They kept doing treaties in South Carolina. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me too, because I know he's frozen. I see the count still going up, so I'm gonna keep talking, and hopefully he can join us back. Looks like we lost him. Hopefully he'll come back in. But one of the things that I found out just doing the research of the Cherokee Indian in South Carolina, which is one of the biggest tribes, and there's still tribes that's thriving today, the Creole, the Yamasee, and so many others that are still in existence today, and they look just like us. They just know who they are. And one of the reasons why the powers that be don't want us to know who we are is because if we know who we are, we'll be able to come and take back what belongs to us, which is based on the treaties that they already have in place. For instance, in South Carolina alone, I believe they made over 19 treaties with the Cherokee Indian, and each time they made a treaty, they forced the Cherokee Indians to give up a certain amount of their land. It made them move into different territories, which caused division amongst other tribes that were in the area, because now we're migrating into other territories, which caused friction. Eventually, I'm gonna see if I can send you another invite. Try to leave out and come back in, and then it might let me send you another invite. I can't see you anymore. I can see your name, but you're not on the screen anymore. So if you leave out and come back in, it should allow me to send you another invite. But they forced us to move and migrate to Tulsa, which is coincidentally where Black Wall Street was. So what is that telling you? Right? I mean, like, the proof is in the pudding. You just keep digging and putting the pieces together. And it shows you that we are the same people. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm chopping it up with a top. He just pronounced it, y'all. It's a 3-syllable word. Y'all help me out. He's frozen on his end, guys. So maybe we can get a part 2 going on. Thank you guys for the 100s and the hearts. I appreciate it. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the Eat, Drink, and Be Merry podcast. Follow the good brother, all talk Sean. Y'all go back because I'm messing up this name. I'm killing it right now. But it means Aboriginal and native to the land. And he dropped some amazing jewels. He's somebody that you guys need to follow. He's only 26 and he has so much under his belt. He delivered his autochthon. Y'all go back and watch the beginning. Thank you, the artist, for trying to help me out. I still don't feel like I'm doing it right. But we linked up. I've been following him for some years, but I finally got to meet him in person at the Remedy Conference in California this past weekend. It was a beautiful event. I was one of the guest speakers, and he was as well. And it's just a matter of getting this powerful information out to the masses. We want to wake up the God that is within you by any means necessary. And when you know who you are, you'll be able to do better. You know, we won't let history repeat itself. We wonder why it's so hard for us to get reparations. They're not going to give you reparations because your reparations is already set up. You just got to claim who you are to be able to receive the benefits of it. And as long as they keep giving you different titles to go by, then, you know, as long as they keep giving you different titles to go by distracting you with colored and Negro and Black and African American, they just keep pushing you away. I talk about paper genocide in my song 555. You know, these things are things that you can look up. So if you choose to be ignorant, it's a choice now. That's why Kanye West said slavery after a while became a choice, you know, because, you know, these people, some people began to read, you know, just like with Harriet Tubman, you got a chance to escape. And then you got a chance to go back. You know, it's like the choice is yours, you know? So y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the Eat, Drink, and Be Merry podcast. I was hoping he would be able to come back in, but he's at the airport. Oh, he said he just came back in. It's not giving me an option. Hold on, let me see. Send him an invite again. But if y'all loving the information, y'all, keep the hearts coming. Leave a comment. He's back. You can go ahead, King. I consider my nationality American Indian. That's what I am on paper. You go ahead, King.
Okay, here we go. It was freezing up for a second. All right, here we go. You asked me a question?
I would say you left off or anything else you wanted to say in, you want the people to know.
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay, first let me just make sure y'all can hear me okay. Is my audio good? It's good? Okay, sweet. Yeah, so I just wanted to, you know, go back into the history part because I think the historical narrative really needs to be made, more people need to be made aware of the lies, you know, that's commonly taught in, you know, history class because that's like the whole basis. It's like the foundation of who you are. You know, you learn as a kid, like, hey, okay, I came from, you know, these slaves that were here. You know, like what else? I don't know. Egypt, right? That's like one of the things that most people will gravitate towards when they're going through the levels of consciousness, and we are definitely connected to Egypt also on, you know, spiritual level and also on the physical level. But you know, we need to address the fact that the narrative is a lie. The slave narrative needs to be totally broken down and changed. So, where did I leave off? I left off where I was speaking about the 5% of Africans only arrived in America. So the slave population was mainly American Indians and Africans. Where else did I want to touch? We'll probably get into how after the legal genocide, why were we the only people? I'm waiting for this announcement to end.
Now welcome aboard gate 56B for Spirit Flight 868 to Dallas. We'll also like to invite families traveling with children under the age of 2. Families traveling with children under the age of 2. Active military personnel, any of you need extra time or non-degeneration. Now welcome aboard gate 56.
Yeah, so why were we the only people to be reclassified 5 times within a century? So we went from Indian to colored to black to mulatto to, you know what I'm saying, now African American. Like, that don't even make sense. So it's like you 2 land masses, like you 2 continents, you know, and it's not even countries. That's the thing. It's not a national origin. It's like continents, because there's countries in Africa and there's countries in America. So that shouldn't even be a label. So I don't know how they got by with that one. I don't know. But yeah, I think it just all go back to our identity and how can we reconnect back to the nations of people. So genealogy is the order of the day. I heard Kyrie Irving say it's Find Your Tribe season, you know.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he's been on his awakening path. I've been eyeballing, you know, watching him as he's been progressing and connecting to his native side. I'm like, okay, that's great. Sioux people, it's Find Your Tribe season. So how do we do this? We need to trace our genealogy. So, like, for a lot of those brothers and sisters who just don't know, I would say, okay, if you think you're African, name me or show me proof that your grandparents came from Africa. Right? I want to see the proof. You can't just say something like that without backing it up with a claim, okay, or backing it up with proof. You know, most people can't. And again, I'm not saying everybody is American Indian, because like Brother Truth said, we got all nationalities. You know, it was like a melting pot here. Absolutely. So yeah, the genealogy. Ask your great-grandparents, right? We have to start at home. And I know a lot of people may not have access because they may have passed away or they may not be on speaking terms, but that's really the best place to begin.
Okay, and I want to also say, make sure that you guys be careful with that AfricanAncestry.com because a lot of the people who are running it, the founders of it, tell you that they are lying, like that it is impossible for them to trace you all the way back to Africa by swabbing your mouth, you know. So they're telling you these things, and they know that it's a money making scheme. And like I said, Dane Calloway, if y'all follow him, and he actually has the clip of the founder telling people that he lied to Oprah, because Oprah wanted to, Oprah thought that she was doing her genealogy and Nubian, because Nubians were like the goddesses and the rich people of Africa, so everybody wanted to be a part of that tribe. So Oprah went and opened schools, based on the fact that they were telling her that she was from Africa. She went and opened schools in Africa, and he's saying this like over a podium and laughing. He's like, he called up his partner and was like, "Did you tell Oprah she was from Nubia?" And he said, "No." He said, "Well, when you get her documentation, put Nubian on there." So they're telling, there's no way that they can trace this stuff back, and we fall for the plots every time, and we gotta realize that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, and some people are really about the money. And when it comes to our demise, nobody can beat us by force. It's a matter of getting inside and dividing and conquering. And we're going to have some traders that is all about their money. And when it comes to African ancestry, you got people like Tina Turner's mom, who plain out told the people, I am a Blackfoot Indian. That is all she knew. And when Tina Turner's mom passed away, they did an African ancestry, and all of a sudden, she's not Blackfoot Indian. She's somewhere from Africa. She's like, wow, this woman about 83 years old. And now you telling me that everything that my mama told me, that my grandmama told me was a lie, or you swab in my mouth, where you send it to? Where you know what I'm saying? Like, so we gotta wake up and do research and stop regurgitating information and actually try to figure out, you know, why. Like he said, why are we the only people that keep getting reclassified? The closer they throw something else at us, you know. So y'all make sure you follow. Please say the name again.
Oh. No problem. Autochthon sea moss. But yeah, I did. Can I touch on the DNA? Because that's a whole nother can of worms. Like, that's like I could do like a hour-long segment on that one. But yeah, no, the video clip is there.
3 and 4, 3 and 4, right?
The video clip is there, like you said, on Dane Calloway. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how recent that video he did but like me and him, we came around the same time. You know, he just got bigger than me because he real good at dropping them videos on YouTube like that. I'm not really good on YouTube like that, but yeah, we come at the same time, really. And I got the same video clip. And then I also had the video clip of Rick Kittles, who is the president and CEO of African Ancestry, saying that your DNA that you give into these companies they can only trace 0.1%. 0.1. That's a point and then a 1, okay, of your DNA. And they never disclose that to you. They don't disclose that to the customer. So you think you're getting a entire analysis of your DNA, and it's less than 0.1% of your bloodline that they're even able to identify based upon DNA testing techniques and based upon genetic sequencing. So this is what how much time do we have?
I didn't get alerted, so I think
how much time do we have? Can I go in depth?
Go ahead.
I can go in depth? Okay. All right, let me go in depth then. So the way it works, the way that DNA testing works right now is not like a lot of people think. The science isn't quite that there. It's not quite there yet to, like you said, take a swab, saliva out their mouth, and they can specifically tell you exactly where you come from. It's not that specific yet. They can only tell you what landmass possibly you come from, but they can't they can't zoom in like that and say, hey, you specifically come from this particular people, because we migrated. So that doesn't take into the account the migrations of people that happen, because people's always moving through lands, you know what I'm saying? They're immigrating and, you know, exchange of cultures. So all of these things that are happening, DNA doesn't take into account that part. So that's one aspect of how DNA sequencing isn't quite there yet, and you can't find your heritage based upon these tests. So that's one aspect. Number two is just the science of it. So the way that DNA testing works is they use autosomal DNA. So that's chromosomes, chromosal DNA, right? That's from, you know, the chromosomes taken from your parents on both sides, and then they'll try to identify the markers there. But the thing about it, it is very limited. So they can only go back 7 generations based on your autosomal or chromosomal DNA. So when you try to say, I want to find out where my people come from, it's invalid. You can't do it because it's impossible, it's unable to go that far back. So that's another area. And then there's also the paternal, you know, the Y chromosome DNA testing, and that's also very limited. That's even less limited than the chromosome. That's like 6 generations they can go back, because the Y chromosome is only passed down from father to father, father to son, father to son, you know what I'm saying, all the way down the line to the current generation. But here's the thing. It doesn't tell you whose your father's mother is. or your father's mother's mother is, or, you know, your father's sister. It only tells you the paternal side. So again, that's limiting and removing ancestors out of your DNA analysis. So that's another limitation. Here's another limitation that I think is probably the most limiting out of all. It is the fact that when they take the blood and they try to identify um, where you come from, what is it? I want to get the scientific term right. Slipping my mind right now. There's a specific word. Let me see. Let me bring it back. The autosomal DNA, Y chromosome. Okay, we'll just go back to the mitochondrial DNA. So there's three forms of DNA testing. So we went over the Y chromosome, we went over the chromosal, and this is the mitochondrial testing. Now that goes back the farthest because that's your mother's mother, you know, your mother's daughter. We can go all the way down the maternal line. But that's also a little bit limiting because it doesn't tell you who your mother's father is or, you know, your mother's father is. So that's also limiting. But there's one more point I need to add. It's slipping my mind right now. There's one very limitation that's just going to blow all of these out the water. See if I can pull it back out the ethers because it was on the tip of my tongue and then it just went somewhere. So we were talking about the DNA. Let's see. It's coming back, y'all. Give me a second. Hold on, y'all. It's coming. So the Y chromosome, DNA test. Yeah, I lost it. I lost what I was gonna say. It'll come back to me if we continue the convo. It'll come back.
Because
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
come from what's y'all nationality and who are y'all ancestors?
I didn't quite catch that. It broke up a little bit.
Where does the autochthon people come from? What's y'all nationality and who are y'all ancestors?
Once again, final call.
Oh, that's a great question.
421.
Great question.
Repeat. Once again, the final call for Indianapolis flight at 8:53.
Okay, well, autochthon is it's an adjective. So, or autochthonous is the adjective. Autochthon is the noun. So, indigenous is the adjective. Indigene is the noun. So this is how it works. The adjective describes the noun. So autochthon, that's just describing who I am, but specifically the genealogy will give you that, you know, that nationality where you become a noun, right? You become a person per se, you know. I don't want to get too deep with it, but your genealogy. So what you can trace back to what tribe or nation that you originate from here in the Americas, because we had over 600 here prior to colonization. So that's how you will identify. You would say, for me specifically, I'm a Muskogee national or a Muskogee autochthon. It's just, you know, which word you want to use to describe yourself. And it should be noted also that it depends if you want to be legally correct, right? It depends on how you look at it. You want to be legally correct, you would say you're American Indian, and then you will get more specific and say by your genealogy. Like for me, I say I'm a Muskogee American Indian, right? So American Indian will be the legal word that they apply onto indigenous peoples here in America. And then that's the best way to I can explain it.
Okay, that's dope. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. How much time we got left? Y'all make sure y'all follow the both of us, and thanks for everybody. I also have Queen Katt is spelled After Religion with Kevin Wesley, and that drops officially May 27th, but you can pre-order that right now. Y'all just click the link in my bio. And do all these great things by reclaiming who I am and my genealogy. All that is available in the link in my bio. So if y'all are interested, I have a sale going on. It started last night from Tuesday to Tuesday, where you can get every
Customer there and you, Dark Shoddy, Dome,
and anything else. This all
Kurtz, Larson, Cheryl, Moreno, Williams Jr., Andrea, Harry.
I'm sorry, I missed that last part.
anything else.
Yeah, I could probably go ahead and drop my my information, you know. Where y'all can find me. Y'all can find me, obviously, you know what I'm saying, Talk Time CMOS on Instagram. You can find me basically anywhere if you type in Talk Times of America in your search engine, and I'll pop up. Whether it's on, you know, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, you know, you'll see me. I'm also on YouTube, you know, Discord, you know, all the major apps that people like to jump on. You know, I try to stay relevant with it. Yeah. So feel free to reach out to me, message me if you had any questions, comments, or, you know, you want to collaborate. I'm open. I'm always open to individuals who's trying to build, okay, and grow. And thank you for the opportunity to talk to your followers, sister. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, and you're welcome for pinning the comment. As well.
Joshua Saban, Noah Roberts, Anna Perry,
guys for tuning in. I love you, and thanks, King, for gracing us with this. I know travel is hard. I had 8 flights trying to get back home. I had to catch 8 flights trying to get back home, y'all. So thank you for even doing this, because I was very frustrated. I don't think I would be able to do it. But peace and love, family. I love you guys, and I'll see y'all next time.